Mama, I've had enough. If you came here to confuse me, I will book your return ticket myself. The old woman looked at her, then said, Do you remember the baby you told me died many years ago? Grace froze. Her grip tightened on the wine glass. What kind of nonsense question is that? She whispered. The old woman stood up and quietly walked back inside, leaving her daughter standing in the dark with her past chasing her. The morning sun was rising when Mama Ibele knocked gently on her daughter's bedroom door. Grace was already awake, dressing up for a business seminar. Her heels were beside the bed, her wig laid out. She didn't expect any interruptions. She opened the door halfway. Mama, you didn't sleep again? I slept, but God didn't. Grace frowned. Please, what is it now? The old woman raised her eyes and looked straight into her. I know who that girl is. Grace froze. What are you talking about, Esther? Mama Ebele said. The maid you insult, slap, starve, and call useless. Grace blinked. What about her? She's your daughter. The perfume bottle in Grace's hand slipped and hit the floor. No, Mama, don't say such a thing. Grace's voice cracked. I buried that part of my life. I buried it with shame, with pain, with my tears. I told you she died. That baby is gone. I went back there years later. I asked about her, but the woman in charge told me she died in the rain that day. So what are you saying, Mama? Mama Ibele's eyes filled with tears. You left her at the orphanage gate. I knew. Grace sat down slowly. Her hands were shaking. She remembered the night she delivered alone in a hidden clinic. She remembered the necklace, the same one she had worn during her pregnancy, the same one her baby had on when they dropped her at the orphanage. She had seen it once around Esther's neck, but she never looked closely. She never wanted to. No, it can't be true, Grace whispered. She was supposed to be gone. She's not gone, her mother replied. She's in your kitchen. Sleeping on the floor? Bleeding from your hands? Crying from your words? Grace stood up and paced. She's mine? Yes. Grace covered her mouth. Then suddenly she ran out of the room. Esther was in the backyard washing bedsheets in a plastic basin when she saw Madame Grace rushing toward her. She stood up immediately. Good morning, Ma. Grace didn't speak. She walked close. Too close. She looked at her face, really looked this time. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, the small faded scar under her chin from birth. Her chest tightened. Where's that necklace? Grace asked in a shaking voice. Esther hesitated. Ma, the necklace, the one you hide, the one from the orphanage, bring it. Esther ran inside and came back with the locket in her palm. Grace grabbed it. She opened it. Inside was the old photo of herself. Young, pregnant, smiling. Before the shame, before the fear, before the night she abandoned everything. She looked up at Esther and finally saw it. This was her child, her blood, her daughter, the same girl she had slapped, beaten, humiliated, starved, used. No, Grace whispered. Oh my God. Esther didn't understand. Ma, what is happening? Grace fell to the ground. She held her chest. She couldn't breathe. Tears poured down her cheek. Esther bent down in panic. Ma, what is wrong? Then she heard it. The soft, shaking voice. I am your mother. Esther froze. What? I gave birth to you 17 years ago. I left you. I thought I lost you. But God brought you back to punish me. Esther stood up slowly. She took 2 steps back. Her eyes filled with confusion, pain, fear. No, you're not my mother. My mother would never do this to me. Grace crawled on her knees, grabbing her hand. I didn't know. Esther, I swear I didn't know. Forgive me. Esther's voice broke. You beat me. You made me sleep on the floor. You let your daughter pour hot water on me. You made me kneel in the sun. I didn't know. Esther, please. You starved me. I'm sorry. You told your friends I looked like I had spiritual problems. I was blind. I was proud. God knows if I had known. Esther looked away. Tears dropped from her eyes. Then she did something unexpected. She walked back slowly, picked up her basin of clothes, and walked away. That night, Madame Grace didn't eat. She sat on the floor of her room, holding the necklace. She didn't sleep. She didn't talk to anyone. The house felt cold, heavy, empty. She kept thinking of how harsh she has treated Esther, and now she found out it's her daughter. The daughter she had been given a second chance to love now saw her as a stranger, as a monster, and she was right. 3 weeks passed. No one saw her, no one heard from her. No one knew where Esther had gone to. Madame Grace visited the orphanage, but she still didn't see Esther. She didn't even know where to start looking. Her own daughter had run away from her, and it's all her fault. One day, while driving through Ajegunle, Madame Grace saw a small group of children sitting on the floor, doing homework under a mango tree. In the middle of them was Esther. Madame Grace's hands were shaking as she stood in front of Esther under the mango tree. The hug between them had been silent. No begging, no blaming, just two broken hearts touching for the first time. When they pulled apart, Grace's voice came out small. Please, come home with me. Esther looked at the children she had been teaching. They stared back at her with wide eyes, as if they too knew something big was happening. Home? Esther repeated softly. Yes, Grace said, her eyes glistening. But not as my maid. Never again. As my daughter, my blood, my child. For a moment, Esther's lips trembled. She wanted to believe it. She wanted to run into the promise, but she was afraid of the pain returning. What if you change again? She asked, her voice breaking. Grace shook her head quickly. I can't. I won't. If I do, let God take me away. I swear on the same God who gave you back to me, I will never hurt you again. A tear rolled down Esther's cheek. She glanced at Mama Ibele, who had followed quietly and was standing by the car. The old woman nodded gently. Go with her, my child. This is your chance. Don't let bitterness be your home. Esther took a deep breath. Okay, she whispered. Grace reached for her bag. Let me carry this for you. They walked to the car together. Grace opened the back door, but Esther hesitated, then walked to the front passenger seat instead. Grace smiled faintly at the choice. She started the engine. The ride back was quiet. No music, no phone calls, just the sound of the tires on the road and the wind through the window. Grace kept glancing at her, as if making sure she was really there. When they reached the tall gates of the mansion, Esther's heart beat faster. The same place that had been her prison was now opening to receive her as family. The gates swung open. Grace turned to her and said quietly, Welcome home, Esther. My daughter. Isa won. Esther stepped out of the car slowly. When the car rolled into the compound and stopped, Vanessa was sitting on the front porch, scrolling through her phone. She saw Esther step out of the front seat beside her mother and froze. Her brows drew together. Mum, what's going on? Why is she sitting in front? And why is she back here? Grace didn't answer immediately. She walked up the steps with Esther by her side, her hand resting gently on the girl's shoulder. "Vanessa," she said, her voice firm. "This is your sister." Vanessa blinked. "What?" "She is your blood. My first child. The sister you didn't know you had." For a long moment, Vanessa just stared between them, trying to understand. She remembered the times she mocked Esther, poured water on her slippers, called her a village girl. A slow, guilty look spread across her face. You're joking, right?" she asked, her voice softer now. "I'm not," Grace said quietly. "And from today, she will live here as part of this family. No more insults, no more cruelty." Vanessa's lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. She looked at Esther again, really looked this time, and for the first time, she noticed the resemblance. She thought of the times she had poured water on her slippers, called her village girl, and laughed at her. A slow guilt began to creep into her chest. Her heart was heavy. She remembered everything she had done to Esther, the mockery, the insults, the small cruelties she thought were harmless. But now she knew. It wasn't just the maid she had been hurting. It was her own sister. She dropped her phone and hurried inside. "Esther," she called softly, her voice shaking. Esther stopped halfway up the stairs and turned. Vanessa bit her lip, tears filling her eyes. I'm sorry for everything, for how I treated you. I didn't know. I was wicked. Please, forgive me." Esther looked at her. The memories of humiliation came back. The wet slippers, the harsh names, the disrespect. But for the first time, she saw Vanessa not as the spoiled daughter of Madame Grace, but as a girl, just like her, who had also been raised in pride and blindness. Slowly, Esther nodded. "I forgive you." Vanessa's tears fell. She ran up the stairs, grabbed Esther's hand, and said, "Come with me." In Vanessa's room, for the first time, Esther sat on a soft chair. Vanessa opened her wardrobe full of dresses, shoes, and perfumes. She pulled out a new gown. "Wear this," she said. Esther hesitated. "For me?" "Yes," Vanessa said, smiling through tears. "From now on, you're not the maid. You're my sister, and the sisters share." She helped Esther change into the gown, brushed her hair carefully, and even gave her a pair of sandals. Esther looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time, she didn't look like a servant. She looked like a girl who belonged. Vanessa hugged her. "Never again will I treat you like less." For the first time, they ate together at the long dining table. No shouting, no insults, no fear. Just a mother and her two daughters, sharing food as a family. The maid they had maltreated was never just a maid. She was blood. She was family. She was the daughter who was thrown away but found again. Never look down on anyone, because the person you mistreat today might be closer to you than you think, or might even hold the key to your tomorrow. Children never ask to be born. It is cruel for any mother or father to abandon their child because of shame, mistakes, or fear, for it is the child who carries that pain for life. And never forget, those who serve you are still human. Housemaids, cleaners, drivers, they are not slaves. They have hearts, they have families, they have dignity. How you treat them reflects who you truly are. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories.